Hey, thanks for stopping by Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. As always, check out the subscription bar down there and look for there's a little icon too, and a little banner in the corner of the bottom corner of the screen where you can subscribe right in here in the video. Check out the bell icon. Make sure you're getting notifications from when content drops. Like, comment, and there. Let's frame better. Like, comment, and share. I guess I don't know if excited is the right word to use. I'm actually kind of sad that we have to have my new acquaintance Mandy on with us for this video. Hi, Mandy. Mandy and I met on Saturday, August 28th at the Capitol in St. Paul, here in the People's State of Minnesota. She spoke at the behest of her local representative at a medical freedom rally. And Mandy boldly proclaimed, "I am a state employee and probably won't be after today." And I was actually walking around surveying the crowd and looking for people to talk to. And when I heard that, I beelined to the speaker's platform because, I have that kind of clout. I can just go wherever I want at rallies. And I immediately approached her when she was done speaking. I said, "Let's get your story out there." So, Mandy, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me as much as you'd like about what you do for the state, why you believe you're not going to have a job, and what happened to you this week. And let's see if we can get your story out there. Honestly, let's embarrass them if we can. So that's what needs to happen to these power hungry people.
So Mandy, I am 38 years old, single mom. I kind of had some rough goes at the beginning of all this pandemic, just beforehand, a lot of life changes. But I have 2 jobs to support my daughter and myself, keep my home, keep food in the fridge. I work for the state of Minnesota. I'm in the Department of Human Services, and I am an executive assistant. So I do a lot of the paperwork, the bookwork, the budgets, billing, contracts, nothing to do with one-on-one patient contact. My job can certainly all be done via email, or like we're doing now, if an event
telecommuting.
We can do it this way.
Yep.
But I guess when it all first started, the bar shut down. I lost income. I didn't get the unemployment because I have a full-time job. So I was in a little bit rougher spot, but I made it by the grace of God and I guess a lot of support from my local community. They kept me going.
So people in your area knew your plight and they were actually helping you?
Yeah, it was a lot of moral support. I mean, the manager at the bar I work at is phenomenal. There was, I guess, no greater heartfelt, "I will be there for you, and if you need anything, let me know," even though she was in her own spot.
She wasn't working either.
Correct.
But she probably got unemployment or some sort of because that was her job and she didn't have another full-time job, I would imagine.
That I don't know. I can't say for sure if she did or not, but she is an amazing human. I mean, she's been through rough spots in her life too, so she certainly understood where us girls as bartenders were coming from. And she was willing to pour her heart out, give us anything that we needed, as much as she could.
How long were you out of the bartending job while you were trying to rely solely on the income of your state job?
I believe the first one lasted about 3-4 months. It was a total of just over 6 months for the entire year. So there was half a year of income I was lacking.
Yeah, which, of course, when you're independently wealthy and you work for the state, that's 6 months. I mean, who cares, right?
Right. I mean, I just can't buy that 12-karat diamond anymore.
Or go on a cruise or buy a new car or whatever.
Oh, no, I can still do that.
Oh, okay. Well, there again, you work for the state. Anybody who works for any kind of government entity obviously is just flush in cash.
Oh, whenever I heard people talk about the state, and these are just friends, like I'd never announced I did. I always kind of kept that under wraps. I don't want my bartending life, my personal life, and my state employee life to ever intermingle.
Yep.
I want to stay professional. My opinion is my opinion. It's not the opinion of the state. It's not the opinion of the bar. It's mine.
Right.
So
you go above and beyond to separate yourself in your socio-political, cultural views from your employer.
Oh yeah, I have Facebook account. I never once listed I was a state employee.
Right.
I figured that was separating me from them.
Right.
I had my opinion, they had theirs. And typically, I'm not a political person. I am very, very American, I guess I can say. I love my soldiers with all my heart. And I will do any charity work I can to make sure that they get support. I do a lot.
Political. That's just patriotic.
Well, some people view it as political. So
that's just patriotic. I don't care what the morons think. So I'm a little punchy today, Mandy. I'm, by the time this video airs, news will be out about the fact that I sacrificed a career for liberty and have been in a fight with Olmsted County Sheriff's Office in the Rochester area since really May of last year, but like a really intense fight since February of this year. So I'm a little punchy because that's been, all this has been finalized. I am actively unemployed, and that kind of what you've been saying about not connecting your work to your socio-cultural political views because you don't think they should be connected really strikes home with me, because I did exactly the same thing. I went above and beyond, especially for the last year and a half, to not connect those things. And it's actually kind of heartrending to hear you say that, knowing that ultimately it's an example of just how far our culture and our society has gone down the slopes, that you're not allowed to have any kind of opinion about anything in a public way that somebody doesn't like, because they'll find a way to try and track it back to your employer and have you canceled.
Correct.
But the sad or ironic thing is that just Wednesday, you were escorted out of your office by your administrator, but it wasn't because of what you said at the rally on Saturday. It was because of what you said you weren't going to do. And fill us in a little bit on that.
Well, actually, I wasn't escorted out. I was off work Monday and Tuesday. I came into work Wednesday. And when I went to log into my computer, my email icon didn't work. I could not access my work email. The only way I actually got into it was because I have some archived for the work I do, because it is computer work. I was able to open up one of those, and then that forced my email open. At that time, I had seen an email that came down from central office HR that I had not signed my vaccine attestation form. So basically it's making me tell them that I have the vaccine, or I don't have it, but I'm going to agree to weekly testing, or I'm just not going to do any of it. But there's wording that I didn't agree with, even if I were to check the box that I don't agree with it, I'm not going to do the testing, and I'm not going to get the vaccine. There was wording I was still uncomfortable with, but there was no one there to clarify it for me. When I got that, in the email, it stated that, I'm trying to remember exactly how it was worded, but basically my deadline was September 1st, and that was the day I had arrived back to work. There was nothing in the email telling me what would happen if I didn't get it to them by September 1st. There was nothing directing me if I was still choosing not to. This is what is going to happen next. So when the administrator of the hospital came in, I needed clarification. I actually went to him, and this was Oh, I would say
You work directly in a hospital?
yeah. I have an office right in the front lobby.
Okay. Is this a state operated and owned hospital?
Correct. Mental health locked facility. Yeah.
Okay.
So when he came in, it was about an hour or so after he had already been on site, and I start work at 6 a.m. So he's coming in just before 7. It's going on 8 o'clock now. Other things are happening. I'm continuing to do my job. I get the moment where
You're being a responsible employee and actually showing up to work and doing your job.
well, regardless, we might
Right.
not have the same viewpoint. We might not be on the same path, but I have a job to do.
Right.
So when I get the opportunity, I want clarification from him. And I did approach him and I asked him, am I considered a non-paid status employee? And his answer was yes. So I actually then reiterated again because it didn't seem right to me. In the new policy they have, it states in the policy, I'm allowed to my union representative. I'm allowed time to explain my point of view. And I didn't get it. I had to go to him.
Did he approach you in your office or did you have to go to him?
I had to go to him.
So he knew you were there.
Correct. Oh, yes. He says, good morning, everyone. The office is right there.
And he knew you were working.
Yes.
But he also knew that you weren't getting paid.
That's
what I was understanding in that point in time.
Correct. The information he provided to me led me to believe that I am there doing this stuff. And if I hadn't asked, I wouldn't know I'd be in this status.
So basically, you were placed on administrative leave and told it was unpaid. Was your understanding at that time?
Yeah, I mean, he's the administrator of the hospital. I had no one else to get answers from. I just had a question, and I just asked the question.
So he's a administrator at the state level, and he runs this facility. He oversees this facility, and he did not have the moxie. What's his name?
James Kelly.
So James Kelly knew, and you could say what you want that you missed the deadline or whatever, but he knew on Wednesday morning what your status was, continued to let you work unpaid until you approached him and asked him about your status, and then oh yeah, by the way, you're not working technically because you're not being paid.
Right.
And so you left and went home immediately after this?
Well, and I guess this is where, according to my union rep, where I went wrong. I guess in my mind, a normal human would be, I'm not getting paid. I haven't been getting paid all day. Why am I continuing to work? So I clarified one last time before I walked out. You're telling me I am an unpaid status. You denied me my representation of a union rep.
Did you ask for your rep at that point, or did you say, do I need a rep?
At that point, I thought it was done. I thought it was over. I'm already there. They gave me zero opportunity. How do you fight your boss?
Well, they count on that. They absolutely count on that. My situation was much the same back in April. I walked in being told I was being formally disciplined with a disciplinary step notice. After I said, do I need a union rep? And was told, no, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you don't. And then I got told I was being disciplined.
Right.
And for me, that, for them, that was a bad move because I just said, okay, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to have to go. I need to go get my camera. So I went and got my cell phone and began recording. Which, but you're in this situation where you have this, and his name is one more, James Kelly.
Correct.
You have a good working relationship with Mr. Kelly. You've never had any kind of conflict with him?
I can't say it's the best. He's
a supervisor.
To get along with, and personalities are different.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times, Mandy, have you violated policy and procedure? How many times have you been disciplined? How many times have you been put out on administrative leave? How many times have you been disciplined with 2 weeks of unpaid or any kind of unpaid time? How many write-ups have you had? Was your job in jeopardy prior to all of this? I mean, I'm asking this, and you don't have to give any more detail than you want, but prior to this, was your job in jeopardy because of your lack of work ethic, your lack of performance, your attitude, or anything like that? Has your job been threatened because of anything that could be seen as excuse me, poor attitude, poor work performance, or anything on your part?
Never.
Never.
I have been reprimanded and put on and I forgot what they call them. It's some sort of plan for employees when
Work
there is
performance plan.
reaction. I've always done my job. I mean, granted, yeah, there's times where we butt heads. There has been a few times more recently, just because he has made the statement in a meeting where when a situation like this comes about, and it was about the pandemic, your freedoms go out the door. I did confront him on that.
So as a representative, James Kelly, as a representative of the state, said when there's a pandemic, you don't have any liberties or freedoms.
Correct. Yeah, it goes out the door. Your freedoms go out the door.
Okay. But you said you had one work performance plan. How long ago was that?
Oh, no, I haven't had any.
Oh, haven't had any. So you've never had anything like that?
I've never been put on leave. I've never been told you're going to be taking time off. Like, I've never been told to leave the office because my performance, my attitude, or anything like that has created an issue where they need to remove me from the office, and I need to think about what it is that I did.
Go to your room and think about that, young lady.
Right. I've never been in timeout through work.
I told you I'm punchy today, and the more you tell me, the more you tell me, the punchier I keep getting. So the reason I asked that question is that I don't want people to go, oh, well, I worked with Mandy, and she's a ever-loving witch, and she's been written up and complained about, and she sexually harasses other staff, and she verbally abuses people, and she's a bully. Because quite frankly, if I'm going to tell somebody's story, I want them to be honest with me, and that's why I asked that question. Because
I'm perfect, though. Let's get that right. I am human. I am not perfect.
But my point is, you have no disciplinary history.
Right.
Especially recently. So
correct.
Like if you got rolled up because you screwed up a piece of paperwork and it cost us, it cost the hospital a couple of $1,000s if, 10 years ago or whatever it was, that's off your record anymore. It doesn't matter. Your job was not in jeopardy for anything that you have done. You're sitting at home now. You leave, and I'm going to imagine that part of the reason you left is this is an overwhelming experience because you're being told that you're unpaid, that you can't be there because you haven't complied with the new mandate for state employees to either get the jab, and we say jab and coof on this channel because we don't want YouTube's algorithm to boot us. So you won't take the jab. You have strong opinions about even being required to get tested every week and having to tell anybody about that. There was wording in the email. Do you have that email? Did you send that to yourself at home?
I do have a copy of it. I have it printed off.
I would really like to have that.
Absolutely.
When we have time. And you wanted some clarification. And your deadline was September 1st, but there was no, and I'm going back over this just so people understand. And there was no, if you don't do these following things by this date, you will experience X. That was just, you need this by September 1st. You walk in, you can't open your email, you finally get it open. How many hours did you work before you finally went and talked to him and said, hey, what's going on? How many hours was that?
I start at 6 a.m.
And you talked to him at what time?
I want to say it was just before 9.
So let's say 3 hours. You worked for 3 hours. and finally said, well, what's going on? And and he told you, oh yeah, you're technically not being paid right now. And then your union rep, who you talk to later, says, well, you screwed up because you didn't do what?
Because I didn't make them physically or tell me to leave. Where I guess in my mind, what was happening is, why, if you're not, I guess technically I was still employed through the state. I'm just non-paid status. But if you're not getting,
you're supposed to stay and work until they force you to leave.
Right. That is how you are supposed to do it. And fine, I get it.
Okay, so you make a mistake and you go, but that's an overwhelming situation. That's an emotional moment.
Oh yeah, I just got told my livelihood to keep my house and feed my kid is done.
And you weren't told, did he tell you specifically why? Did he say, oh, it's because you haven't done any of these things?
Because I didn't sign the form.
Okay, so you are not obligated to stay there and work when you've been told you're not getting paid.
Union says I am until they remove me.
You made a mistake. Okay, in their eyes, you made a mistake. The union should have been there. Do you have a shop steward or a union steward or something like that works in the hospital with you?
I do, and I did reach out. To my understanding, he did call James Kelly, and I'm not sure of the conversation that took place between the two of them. So I don't.
That's ridiculous. You should be. Your union rep should be. Did it even cross your mind in that moment, in all of that overwhelming, emotional, stressful time? Did it even cross your mind to say, I need to go back to my office and sit here until they forcibly remove me from the building?
No.
Right, because you don't really want that kind of conflict, for one. Two, did it cross your mind that first thing you should do is, before you leave, say, I need to talk to my union rep?
No, I've been with the state over 6 years, and I've never once even asked for my union rep.
Okay.
This is all new to me.
Right, because this isn't your lifestyle. You're not in trouble enough to know how the ins and outs work. So I don't really care what your union says. They have a responsibility to defend you in this situation, and so you made a mistake. So then you found out that James Kelly screwed up with his information and said that you're technically, because you haven't complied, you are on administrative leave, but you are getting paid.
I wasn't even told I was on administrative leave. Actually, this morning I woke up to a text message from him that stated some more information.
The hospital administrator has your personal cell phone number, and he communicated information to you via a text message?
Yes. And I guess to me that's not uncommon, because even though I work Monday through Thursday, there are times, and for example, Tuesday was one of those days. He reached out to me because there was work-related issues. He needed help, and it was on my personal phone, and I helped him because that's common. There's been times where something happens at the hospital on a Saturday, and I'm getting messages from nurses because they need help. I go and help them. That's, to me, the right thing to do as a human.
No, but here's the point.
Because it's the right thing to do.
No, this isn't your issue. The issue is he's reaching out to you as it regards your career, your occupation as an staff member, and instead of calling you and speaking to you voice to voice, he sends you a text message and it reads what? What did it say basically? What's the gist of it?
If you have a moment, I can play with my phone a little bit. I'll pull it up. I can read word for word.
No, I don't need it word for word, but basically it was, I screwed up. You are getting paid, but you're not allowed to work.
It was, the gist of it was, he didn't even admit to us screwing up. Just, there was more information. We need a phone call. Give me a call. I replied back with, kind of busy this morning. would maybe later on this afternoon work? Do you want me there in person, or do you want to do it by phone? He said, by phone, call me when you can. Okay. I was getting ready. I was going to give him a call after we were done here because I knew I had this going on. But in the meantime, he sent me another message saying that basically what it was is 9/1 didn't start the unpaid staff status. So that's still in effect. I am allowed to take vacation time from when this first happened. So when I was told I wasn't getting paid, so I can take vacation time from then until the 8th, which is when the policy takes effect. And how to let him know
So
if
is he telling you you're not allowed to come back?
I am. I'm still allowed to. He wants to know if I'm going to be in work on or into work on Tuesday because Monday's the holiday.
Right. And you get paid for the holiday.
I do. That was informed to me as well.
So he told you you're not getting paid on Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be getting any pay.
Correct.
So you leave because you're like, aha, I shouldn't have to be here working if I'm not getting paid.
Right. I'm not salary. I'm hourly.
Yeah, right. Union says, hey, you screwed up. You should have made them tell you you had to vacate the premises. That aside, you did reach out to your union rep. Your union rep did have a conversation with James Kelly. James Kelly tells you today, oh, by the way, there was a little bit of a snafu, and this is what it looks like. Since you decided to walk out on after I told you you weren't getting paid, you decided to leave, but now you can use your personal paid PTO time off to cover your day, the remainder of the day on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You do get paid for the holiday. I'd like you to come to work on Tuesday because you're getting paid, but starting on Wednesday of next week on the 8th, you're on leave. You can't come to work because you haven't done any of this stuff.
This is the most toxic relationship I have ever been
in. And so technically on Wednesday, you can't go to work, but you will be getting paid.
Yep. On Tuesday. On Wednesday, again, there's no plan by the state as far as I mean.
Okay, now I got it. A lack of communication on his part, poor communication on his part, caused you to think that you weren't being paid, which means, why am I here? Miss remainder of your day on Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday, but you can go to work on Tuesday, which I would tell you I would go. Don't use your PTO.
Lord help.
You can't work starting on Wednesday, and that's unpaid.
I don't even know anymore. I really don't. Like, but is it really? Because is it really?
I would strongly urge you, Mandy, when our conversation is done, is you need to get your union rep involved in this, because this is not your fault. They're trying to make it out to look like you're basically a no call, no show,
right?
And if James really told you that you weren't getting paid, he owns this. This was his screw up. Should you have asked more questions? You know what? Hindsight being 2020, of course, you probably could have done more. But I mean, who's expecting to ever have this conversation? Let's make sure that we understand this as well. All of this is a result of basically the state mandating that all their staff either be jabbed with the COOF jab or agree to testing on a weekly basis.
And maybe that's where I'm a little different. I'm not because you said so, I'm not going to. Because of my experience and how they treated me from the beginning of this pandemic, none of it makes sense to me.
Right.
Why are we picking and choosing what policies as a hospital we can abide by? So the work from home, if you can, you should. I didn't get it, but my job as a part-time bartender was jeopardized because it was the hot zone. It was where you're gonna die if you go in there and walk around without a mask. But you're still
Right,
gonna
bars are incredibly highly dangerous areas, but Walmart and Home Depot and Lowe's and Menards and Target, and those places aren't dangerous at all. Even though there's thousands of people in and out of those places every day, they're not dangerous, but the bar is.
Correct.
Okay.
So it just doesn't make sense to me at all.
Right.
And I guess when I go shopping for a car, if a salesman tells me I got 3 other people looking at this car and there's one person on their way to test drive it, I'm letting them take the car. They can have it. I will find something else because clearly this wasn't meant for me. I'm a big picture. Like I want to see everything.
Right.
Not oh my gosh, I'm gonna die if I don't do this, this, and this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
That has my expiration date, and there is nothing that's gonna stop that. I've made peace with that. That doesn't bother me at all. So then to force me now for something that I haven't bought into, because if it looks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, and it walks like a duck, it's a duck, not an elephant. Right now, the only thing I've ever seen is it sounds like it because they're saying the right things. It looks like it because they have all these things in place. It is not walking like it at all.
Not to mention the reality is that it comes down to you're being forced to share medical information with your employer that at no other time in the history of the United States has an employer been able to demand that you give them medical information about yourself.
Correct. Or have they offered me $100 Visa gift card?
Well, you could still get the $100 if you chose to go out and do it.
They can have it.
That's not the point. And the employer is not on the hook for any damages that could happen to you if you take the jab.
Correct.
Not, and moreover, neither is the manufacturer of the jab.
Right.
And moreover, then it hasn't gone through, as I've talked with a couple of nurses, the 2-year safety testing protocols. So what it comes down to is informed consent is out the window. You either do this or you don't have a job.
Right. I don't have time. I mean, they're not giving me the time. I want to make sure I'm making the right choice. It's you have to now. I'm not ready yet. I might not ever be ready. I might be ready in 2 weeks, but I'm not ready now. But you're going to force me now.
But that's your fault because you could have been digging into all of this because the jab's been around since January. You had plenty of time to make your decision.
Yeah, I did. And then I also Googled per friend request it was the company that has paid out the most criminal fines. Pfizer. Pfizer has paid out the most amount of money in criminal fines. But now I'm still supposed to believe this is okay.
Yeah. Because do what they say.
Right.
How much, I mean, all of this has to have been incredibly stressful for you. I mean, I know it has been. You said that. So, but this has to have been incredibly stressful for you. What happens if you find out on Wednesday, on Tuesday that you're not allowed back into the facility and you will not be getting paid? How long will it be before you end up losing everything? How long will it take it to catch up with you?
Not long.
Okay.
With the lack of income from the bar, it's already tight.
Right. You are working as a bartender again, however. I know you're working today at 4, so.
I am.
Yeah. How old's your daughter?
She's 13.
Mm-hmm. And It's not like you can like have her go out and sell matchsticks and newspapers and stuff to supplement your income. Is she aware of all this stuff going on?
She's yes,
Yep.
to a point. I don't believe it's right to share the finances with a 13-year-old and
Absolutely.
how hard and not having a
They
home.
don't need that kind of burden.
They don't. They have so much going on already.
Right.
But she does know where I stand and why I stand where I am. Actually, the day of the rally, she was my first text message in the morning. And my message to her was, do you remember when I told you, if you're going to stand for something, stand strong?
Right.
And she said, yeah. Go on speaking at the Capitol today, wish me luck. She goes, good luck, Mom. So that was, I don't know.
So she was was she with Dad this last weekend, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank God for him. Man, has he been supportive through all this as well.
Good. That's, that's nice to hear, because it's not that way in every divided house.
Oh, I have gotten lucky. Between him and his new fiance, they are godsends. They have been a great support as well.
That's encouraging to hear. So, so if it comes down to the wire and they tell you either get the jab or agree to testing, or you don't come back to work and you don't get paid starting Wednesday, you have a decision to make. And this is not an accusation and it's not a judgment. Do you feel like you'll probably ultimately end up agreeing to one of the two, or do you feel like at this point there's a message to be sent?
I'm standing my ground. If they were to come to me and say, you get the jab or you get in that execution line, I'm taking the bullet. I will not let them put it in me yet. I am not ready yet. And if they can't appreciate that, and if they can't understand that, even though we're supposed to be so understanding of everything else, if they can't understand I'm not ready, take me out.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that, but
well,
Minnesota state law says you can be taken away against your will for refusing to follow pandemic measures. People are not aware that Minnesota state statute does allow that. It says in that same statute that you have a right to refuse any medical treatment. You have a right to refuse any inoculation. You have a right to refuse any jab for any reason. You have a right to refuse any kind of diagnostic testing. You have a right to refuse any kind of psychological, psychiatric testing. On and on and on, all this stuff that you have a right to refuse. And then it says down, but the state reserves the power during a medical or any kind of other public emergency to isolate you against your will for refusing those things. So cattle cars could be in our future. And I shouldn't laugh, but I don't know what else to do at this point, because people just don't understand. They're like, they're going to start by getting people, like forcing people out of their jobs for not having the right opinion, like TC, and not complying with their demands, like Mandy. What can the tens and tens of people who will watch this? No, I have a funny feeling this might get more views than that. Mandy, what can my followers on the YouTube channel and Rumble and through Facebook, what can they do? What's the best thing they can do for you right now?
Stand with me. I know I'm not alone, and I'm not. I've gotten support from nurses. People have reached out to me since the rally. We're not alone.
Right.
So the more we stand united, we won't fall. And if we show them that, I mean, they were already contacting me, and the hospital knows they need me, and I'm just a keyboard junkie. Imagine how it's going to be when they can't find those nurses, especially in my field, in the psych field, to fill those spots. They're now messing not only with just employment of staff, they're talking about the safety of patients. And that's on them.
Right. So Sunday, um, you live in the Twin Cities, correct?
I live probably about an hour north of the Twin Cities.
Okay.
I'm Roxanne.
Hey, I'm Roxanne Cows too. I live almost 2 hours south of the cities and a half an hour south of Rochester. So I'm so Roxanne Cows. I'm damp near to Iowa. I would like to invite you, if you can, I would like to invite you to come down to Rochester on Sunday. I know it's a drive. I will find a way to get you gas money. I would like to invite you to come down to Rochester on Sunday the 5th for the medical freedom rally that's taking place down there. I do not know if there's going to be speakers, but I do know that there are going to be we're putting an effort into getting people from all over the state to come down. From as far I've already got somebody committed to come from 5 hours away. And we want to stand with the nurses and the LPNs and the nurse practitioners and the doctors and the vascular technicians and the PCAs and the CNAs and all of that stuff, who are in the Rochester area. And I'm like, let's be honest, you don't get much more medical than Mother Mayo. And all the medical stuff that takes place in Rochester because of that. But it's at 2 p.m. It's at Graham Park, and it's pretty hard to miss. It's pretty much dead center in the middle of Rochester, and it's on one of the busiest areas, going to be one of the busiest intersections in the entire city. It's a junction of Highway 63 and Highway 14. It's a big area, and I would love for you to come down there for your own mental health, quite frankly, because I think you'll meet a lot of people who are going to be very supportive of what you're going through. And I want to get this out. I'm gonna publish this tomorrow, just because I use old equipment and it takes me a while with the software that I have to process a video, and I have to watch it like 5 times to make sure that I like what it's doing. So, but if there's any way you can make it down on Sunday, I would love to have you come down and just stand there with other people, arm in arm, quite literally, and be encouraged. And if we get a chance, maybe get you talking to people and telling your story so that they hear that they're not alone as well. You said that people standing with you is the most important thing for you right now. But what's a tangible, feasible way? That what does that look like in a tangible way? Emails, phone calls, messages, and comments on Facebook. Is there anything you guys that you and your daughter need? Is there anything you need? Like, are you in a position right now where you're okay? Anything like that? Is there, groceries, gas money, bills, whatever? What do you need? And don't be prideful.
I appreciate the question, but through life, I have fought, bitten, spit, bled. I've made it this far. I can do it again. I'm not afraid to work. I'm not afraid.
You're not answering the question the right way, Mandy.
I don't want to. Tangibly, I guess I would like people to at least acknowledge the fact through messages to their legislature. Like, it's not me I'm wanting financial support for. It's going to be everybody, because I'm not going to be alone here.
Right.
So
yeah,
the louder you get, and if we can make them stop for just a little bit of time to think about what they're doing and what they're about to lose. I mean, you may not agree with where I'm at. You may not agree with my stance, but I want people to at least agree that I have a right to decide.
Right.
And I guess financially, I'll figure it out. Always do.
Okay, so she's not playing ball, so there are some of you out there who are going to watch this and are going to understand what I'm saying. So we'll just have to conspire behind Mandy's back and do what we need to do, because she's just not being she's being a little prideful right now, and that's okay. She's rocks and cows hard country. Yeah, I saw that. She doesn't want to say that, hey, yeah, this is gonna suck, and I don't want it to suck, but I'll get through it because I've been through the suck before. But that's fine. You know, you just push me into a corner. I'll just have to do it behind your back.
I guess the one thing that I'm thinking of right now
go ahead.
is, I guess if there's any state employees who are watching this and they are ready to move forward with at least starting a claim, starting anything with an attorney. I have one lined up. He's representing Center Care employees. He's got from what I last heard, over 100 staff from there in St. Cloud Hospital. So he has asked me if I would get a group of state employees, and I guess I don't know where to start with that. So
okay,
if there's any state employees out there, I would love to hear from them. And I'm not saying it's going to go anywhere because I don't know, but
that's worth a shot.
Right,
worth a shot. Absolutely. We'll see what we can stir up there, and I'll just see what I can stir up in other ways too, since you're being a stubborn cuss. But I also encourage everyone to reach out to their legislators, senators, House representatives. Reach out to them, reach out to local county commissions, reach out to local city councils, reach out to whatever the case might be, and let them know that it's their responsibility to interpose themselves between the people and injustice at all levels. And it starts with the person that, the local dog catcher and the local, parks department, maintenance supervisor. People have got to start standing up to bullies. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, patriots, constitutionalists, Mandy is in a state of limbo. She was given misinformation on Wednesday by her supervisor, by the hospital administrator, told that she wasn't being paid, then walked that back and said, oh, well, you could have been getting paid, so now you have to burn PTO because you didn't come to work. But you can get paid for the holiday on Monday, and you can get paid to come to work on Tuesday, but maybe on Wednesday you won't be getting paid again. So true to form, the state, the what we call the government improperly, is jerking her around like it jerks everybody else around. It's not just the regular Joes out there who pay taxes and whatnot that jump through hoops. Mandy's getting jerked around because nobody seems to know what's going on. And yeah, sure, she's taking a risk by being on here and talking about this, but this is how things change. This is how this stuff starts to change. People have got to be willing to put it on the line. I gave up a career because I said enough's enough. Mandy's saying enough is enough. And granted, like she says, she's been doing the job for a little over 6 years, but she's had a stellar record through that time, unless she's lying to me, and I just don't see that happening. But she's had a stellar track record. She does her job. They rely on her, even on her days off. And this is how they're treating her. And if you think it's just her, if you think it can't be you, if you think it can't happen to you because you're going to be compliant on this, then what line are you going to be willing to cross? And what line are you going to draw and say enough's enough, I'm not complying anymore? Because the more you comply now, the more they're going to expect you to comply. And the more you do comply, the more they're going to push on you. Complying now doesn't end this. It just makes it worse. And we have got to begin to stand up and name names and call people out for injustice against other human beings. And telling somebody that your livelihood and your income and all of that can be impacted and stripped from you because you won't forcibly take a jab for a virus with a 99.9% survival rate is asinine. This is not killing the number of people they told us it was going to. And that's where we have to begin to stand up and say enough is enough. For every single person out there who said, I can't do this anymore, I'm not going to comply, please reach out, contact local elected servants and let them know it's their duty and their time to stand up and defend us. And as always, don't worry about being safe. Fight for your liberties and fight for your freedoms. And Sic Semper, Tyrannis.